So we were in the Chutu Valley, and we were doing just reconnaissance in this valley for months, because we were about ready to do a major valley clearance. There was, intel was like 2,500, 3,000 Taliban fighter in the valley. We were bringing enough ass to the fight. So we kicked off the clearance operation on September 11th. We got up to our set of compounds that we were going to be clearing, because we had the southern part of the valley and we were going to be moving north. But we got to our first objectives. We got to clear these first set of compounds, and we have taken fire from these compounds nonstop. So that we know there's bad guys here, but it's quiet, but it's too quiet. There's no dogs. There's no nothing. So up front, we're clearing the path to the first set of compounds. And we stop and do one last check of your Afghan counterparts. Like, hey, all right, this is what we're doing. Don't forget that compound, Pointy Talkie, make sure everybody understands. And it's like, all right, guys, hey, we got about 25 meters. That's compound number 1. All right, let's go. Ready, break. They're just standing there. Hey, man, hey. And our interpreter, we called him Nick. It's like, Nick, did you tell him? He goes, yeah, I told him. It's like, tell him again. So he does, we're whispering, noise and light discipline, all that. We're like, I see head shaking. I said, no. Well, what do you mean, no? And they said, it's too dangerous. Well, no shit, it's dangerous. They said, well, you Americans, you're better trained than us, so you guys should go first. It's like, yeah, if this was Texas and we were clearing a village in Texas, yeah, I would go first, my country. But it's Afghanistan. So you guys should probably, the whole for your country kind of thing. Nope. Oh, shit. So I turned around to tell, my counterpart that was with me, these guys aren't budging. They're not going to move. And he's like, hey, what is Nick doing? What are you talking about? He goes, get him away from that compound right now. So I turned around and Nick had ran down to the first compound and he's trying to do the Afghan Rambo thing, like, but quiet, because Taliban know you're there. They're not, but they're just still being quiet. He's trying to wave them down. Oh, shit. And if you lose your terp, well, you can't communicate with your partner force. And we were broken up into cells to where it was like 12 to 15 Afghans and 2 Americans. You kind of need to communicate with your partner force. So he was like, go get Nick off that doorway entrance. Go get Nick away from the breach. All right. So I was like, well, I wonder where he stepped, because none of this is cleared. And we've seen animals hit IEDs around these compounds. Like, crap. So I moved down to him, and hindsight 2020, maybe I should have used my mine detector. But it's hindsight. So I moved down to him and I grabbed him. It's like, Nick, wrong move, dude. Move back. He goes, no, we can take this compound. Come on. They'll come now that you're here. It's like, no, we got to move back and regroup. Like, this will be completely unorganized if we, and chaotic. And we don't want that. Clearance should be smooth. So I pulled him away from the breach point, and you don't ever want to have your blind side to the unknown. And so my blind side at that time was when I pulled Nick away and I pointed back to where to go. So now my side is exposed to the breach. And all someone has to do is just poke an AK-47 out there, spray, and I'm going to take some rounds in my side and I'm dead. So you put your plates to the unknown and your gun to the unknown. So I cover his movement back to where all the guys were at. And then I caught something out of the corner of my eye. It's like movement. I don't know if it was a dog. I don't know if it was a person. I don't know what it was, but I wanted to shoot somebody. And, because you're amped. You're in bad guy territory. They're watching you. You can hear them on ICOM chatter. And I see this movement. So I step inside the breach and boom. And they had an IED right there in the doorway. So I stepped on an IED that was in the doorway. Why? Because they know our TTPs. And they also know, how they know how to play with our minds. They're very good at that. And so the IED goes off and I can't figure out what happened. It's just like, what in the hell happened? And it didn't hurt. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'm good. And granted, it sounds like this is a long time, but this is all seconds. And so I'm laying there and I can't breathe. because the dust, the ammonia explosion went off. And I was like, I need to get fresh air. I'm going to suffocate. Why can't I move? God, man, I can't move. I got a 50-pound assault pack on full of demo and everything like that. I'm got my M4 and everything. I'm a heavy dude, but I can't move. So now I'm getting pissed. It's like, why can't I get up? Every time I try and get up, I keep falling over. So I'm able to calm myself down. So this can't be that bad. What happened? Then as the dust starts to clear, I look down and my boot was at a 90-degree angle to my leg. And I remember I was like, well, how'd that happen? I didn't take my boot off or anything. So again, real curious dude over here. So I grab my leg from behind my knee and I lift up on my leg and my boot flaps over. And these two like pearly white objects are sticking out of my pants. And again, maybe it's that too stupid to quit thing. I'm like, I mean, those are really white because like bone out of your leg or arm or whatever, it's whiter than white. It should have its own color. Maybe it's called bone. I don't know. But I was like, And then my boot flopped over to where like the heel of my boot was hitting me in the hamstring. And then I was like, oh, that's my leg. Boom, pain hit me just like that. It's, oh God. Okay. And oh man, it hurt so bad. But it was funny because it's like, I was able to psych myself out so much because I didn't know what was going on that it didn't hurt. And then when I realized it hurt, my mind was like, oh yeah, let's hit these pain receptacles. That's right. Our bad, dude. We should have been doing this whole time. And man, so, you do the whole thing you see on movies, medic, I'm down, stuff like that and whatever. But it was crazy how it was like, it didn't hurt at first. And it's like, wonder what happened, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what happened. And then then the pain,
And like initially these guys can't run to your aid, right? I mean, they don't know if there's other IEDs, like, they don't know the situation.
So the Taliban also know that we will send 100 service members to recover one. And if 99 of them die, and we recover that person, it's mission success. We will not leave a soldier to fall in the hands of the enemy. And they know this. And they also know that we value life and they value death. And so if they can die this glorious death, then that is the same as us saving our buddy. And our adrenaline will take over, will override your common sense. And they know this. And you will run down there to save your screaming buddy that could very well die if he doesn't. And so the Taliban are like, so the Americans, they value life. Okay. So we're going to put multiple IEDs in the area. So a rescue team, if they run straight to his aid, they're going to hit all these IEDs. And now we got like 10 dudes on the ground. Perfect. And so very smart. And so they actually play on our value of life so much to where the IED I hit, there were secondary IEDs all around me. And so that's why in the military, we train self-aid, buddy aid. You have to be able to provide self-aid to yourself first because you can't just run down to the dude. You run after him, now you're a target. Now you're hit. Now the team has to recover 2, not just 1. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and it's hard. It's hard because of our value of life. And they know that. And they're experts at playing on that.
Once you realize basically your leg's been blown off, right? Mm-hmm. Like what's your thought process? Are you thinking, man, it's over, or this is it for me entirely? This is it for my career. This is like, or I need help and bring the morphine that that you soon learn that morphine was not for you.
Yeah, no. As I was laying there, I remember the guy that was on my team as he was on the radio, like, hey, we got. Ryan hit an IED, got a man down, because the very first thing you do is security. Your buddy can be bleeding out. If guys are getting hit all around you, then you're not doing them any good. Security has to be up. Well, he knew that I had wandered into an uncleared area and there was IEDs. Where there's 1, there's 5 or 3 or 10, who knows? Yeah, guys are starting to move from where they were at in their position because we were spread out all over the village. Yep. They're starting to move back. Now it's like, oh shit, we got IEDs in the area. So we need to retrace our steps back. We need to get to this point. We need to clear up the Ryan. Oh, by the way, we have ICOM chatter that the Taliban are going to put in an ambush on us. Okay. And so I'm laying there and I remember I'm like, my team can't get to me. And it was a very helpless feeling. And I kept trying to put my tourniquet on, but I couldn't. I was like, what is going on, man? Like, I just don't have the strength. And so I remember I laid back one time and I looked over and all the chaos was in slow motion. Dudes were running here. You could see guys pointing, getting security up. I laid my head back and I was like, I'm going to die here today. And I don't know why. I just, because number one, I'm not a doctor, so I can't look down on my leg and be like, oh, that's just a fill in the blanks. No, tons of pain, and I see red stuff everywhere, which is meat and blood and all this other stuff. And yeah, and my team can't get to me, but it's a very sobering moment in your life when you know you're going to die. It's hard to explain, but it's just like emotional, regret-filled pain. Like, man, all this shit just hits you. And you're just like, damn, wow, I wish, and then obviously, I kind of here, so I made it, but but yeah, it was crazy. I actually thought like, yeah, I'm gonna die here today.
So they finally get to you, right? They give you like a fentanyl lollipop and then the morphine, right? Yeah. As soon as they give you the morphine, you break out in hives. You mentioned in the book that usually, like, if you can just hang on for an hour, right, you're okay. But this was longer than an hour.
Yeah, so it's called the golden hour. And basically what that means is from you getting hit, we have an hour. Like, you have the highest survivability rate within 1 hour. So when you plan your missions out, you're like, all right, we're going to be here in the Chutu Valley. I know that I could medevac him from here to TK or Tarankout within an hour. If he gets hit here, he'll be at Tarankout within an hour. His survivability rate it's in this level. Okay. If it's over an hour 10, hour 15, whatever. And again, I'm not I didn't study these charts, but I know it starts to drop dramatically once you go over that golden hour. And so, yeah, by the time I got fished out of there, my rate had dropped pretty dramatically just because of the amount of IEDs in the area, the Taliban. Our Overwatch position was actively engaging the Taliban fighters that were trying to move in on our position because Taliban, again, they're smart. If they could close the gap between their position and our position, that limits us dropping bombs on them, or else we're dropping bombs on ourselves.
You wake up in the trauma center. At that point, you've been through surgery. I mean, you gain an understanding, right, that you're not going to die. You're going to live. But does a different wave of regret hit you at that point, thinking, okay, I'm going to live, but now how am I going to live?
I had this overwhelming feeling that I let my team down. I know that when I woke up in Tarankout or TK, it didn't quite hit me that my life was forever changed because I was completely whacked out on drugs and whatnot like that for the pain. But I remember being very emotional that I had let my team down. I failed my team, and so that was that F word again, the failure. There was a lot of emotional pain there because I just kept thinking about everything, the whole hindsight 2020. It's like, well, I could have done it this way or I should have done, but you didn't. But I couldn't think through all that. And so, yeah, I beat myself up pretty hard in the hospital there.
And then kind of what follows next is probably about a dozen surgeries and just like that whole process of the surgeries themselves, then rehab. And I'm curious because at that point, even after having gone through the surgeries, for all accounts, I think you could be medically retired. You can go out and say, hey, you did a great job. Yeah. Everything's all good. But having gone through that, you got this wild idea, right? I think most human beings, honestly, the story could probably end right there. And I think it's still incredible and it's incredibly inspiring. But for whatever reason, I'd love to hear it, but just you didn't stop there. You decided I'm going to come back.
Remember the whole too stupid to quit? Yeah. Okay. No. So yeah, 27 surgeries on my right leg.
Oh wow.
And because it was a battlefield amputee, and then when I actually got blown up was a pretty good year to get blown up. Like if you're going to do it, 2010 was a good year to do it. They were starting this whole limb salvage thing. So I went through the limb salvage program, and I was a test subject for a lot of the technology that's out there today, because, you know, I came in, they were like, hey, look, your limb is really bad. Like you should not have a leg right now, but we're going to try and keep your leg. And I signed a bunch of waivers for it and everything like that. And then, hey, if it doesn't work, you didn't have a leg anyway. So what's the big deal? It's like, very good point. So there was one incident that happened when I was laying on the ground and the team finally got to me, and they're doing all the life-saving procedures on me. Number one concern of any guy that steps on an IED is my dick still there? And it's just the way it is, because we're men. And so go from that to like, hey man, your leg, like you need to worry about your leg and everything. But then on the ICOM, so ICOM is the radio system that the Taliban use. Well, it's only FM radio. It's not secure. So if we have an FM radio and we find their channel, we can listen in. And they were celebrating and laughing about me getting hit with the IED. So that really bothered me. It's like, all right. Hold my beer, dude. Watch this. And so when I was rehabbing, there was two things that happened. My sergeant major came and he saw me one time and he said, hey, if you can get medically cleared, I'll send you back to war. Now, when he said that, there was zero way I was getting medically cleared. I was actually getting medically retired out of the military. It's like, really? But okay, confidence. And
do you think he said that just to encourage you, or did he actually like want to see you come back?
So him and I are really good friends now. I think I was bothering him so much that he definitely wanted to encourage me, but it probably wasn't, it was definitely something that was not going to happen. Like, you are unfit for military duty. You just like, no. But then the drive, because the Taliban were laughing at me and celebrating. And so I had my sergeant major's word that if I could get cleared, he would send me back to war. And then I had this I need to show that, you know, and the Taliban, when I got back, they weren't like, he did it. All right. Yeah. Come kill us, dude. Badass. That's like, no. But in my mind, that's how it was going to work, you know? And so I did. I dove into, recklessly dove into rehab and to, you know, to kind of put some semblance of Ryan Hendrickson, 18 Charlie back together again so I could get back. I'll deal with all the personal stuff and I'll deal with the mental side of all this once I get back, but I need to get back to Afghanistan. And so, yeah, I just put everything into it.
Man, and when you're going through this rehab process, you talk about the fact that the thin line between drive and stupidity. What did you mean?
Yeah. So there is a thin line between drive and stupidity. You can drive so hard to where you hurt yourself even worse. Not giving myself the proper time to actually heal. My rehab and whatnot like that, I had world-class people working with me, whether it was my orthopedic surgeon or my physical therapist, or the guy that created the IDEO device and all this other stuff. They were world-class, second to none. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a thin line between drive and stupidity, but stupidity will still get you there somewhat. It just may not be good for you.
It's tough to say, like, you know, use the word like luck in any of this, but when you mentioned that IDEO device, right, that prosthetic, in this kind of journey, that was a bit lucky, right? Because you were one of the first soldiers to even be outfitted with these prosthetics that had it happen at a different time. Yeah,
it was generation one, and with the IDEO devices, and it was a lucky break for me that, you know, I got blown up when I got blown up. I stepped on an IED that was a higher quality HME, so it wasn't. It's called RE factors, and so you can have explosives that have the explosive pushing effect of TNT or dynamite, or you can have explosives that have the cutting effect of C4. And I stepped on one that had more of a cutting effect. So if I would have stepped on the same size IED that was more of a dynamite charge, then it just would have shredded everything, and there's nothing they could have done with my leg. But I stepped on something that just shot straight up through my leg, exited out at my calf, and it was a good cut. And so I was like, all right, bomb maker, thanks, bro. Good hookup, dude. You know, whereas if he's a lower quality bomb maker, it's just going to shred you, and you're just going to be looking at just meat shreds and not, so I did. There was a lot of luck that came in with me actually saving my leg. And so it was when I got blown up, it was the IED that I stepped on, and it was the me getting sent to the facility I did in San Antonio, Brooks Army Medical Center, and the quality of staff that was there. I mean, second to none, world class. So yeah, there is a lot of luck.